I wanted to talk about how you determine whether amendments are germane. In the California Legislature, as with numerous other legislative bodies around the country, there is a question regarding whether amendments to an existing bill has to be germane to the subject matter of the existing bill. As described in a number of legislative glossaries of terms, germane refers to whether a proposed amendment is relevant to the subject matter in the bill. And in California, our Office of Legislative Counsel may opine on germaneness, but the ultimate determination of germaneness is decided by the presiding officer of either the state assembly or state senate, subject to an appeal to the membership of either body. In other words, the ultimate determination of whether amendments are germane to an existing bill rests with the legislators in either house. And each house of the California Legislature has rules related to determining whether amendments are germane. Let's review the sets of rules in the Assembly and Senate. In the Assembly, there are several rules regarding the issue of germane bills. Pursuant to Assembly Rule 47D, the Committee on Budget may introduce a bill that is germane to any subject within the jurisdiction of the Budget Committee in the same manner as any Assembly member may. Any other standing committee may introduce a total of 5 bills in each year of a biennial census that are germane to any subject within the proper consideration of that committee. Under Assembly Rule 92, which is titled Amendments to be Germane, it provides that an amendment to any bill, other than a bill stating legislative intent to make necessary statutory changes to implement the budget bill, whether reported by a committee or offered by an assembly member, is not in order when the amendment relates to a different subject than, is intended to accomplish a different purpose than, or requires a title essentially different than the original bill. In addition, Assembly Rule 92 states that a motion or proposition on a subject different from that under consideration may not be admitted as an amendment, and an amendment is not an order that changes the original number of any bill. Turning to the Senate, Senate Rule 23A is similar to its Assembly Rule 47 counterpart, or 92. A standing committee in the Senate may introduce a bill that is germane to any subject within the proper consideration of that committee in the same manner as any senator would. Under subdivision B of Senate Rule 23, a committee may amend into a bill related provisions that are germane to the subject and embraced within its title, and with the consent of the bill's author may constitute that bill or make it a committee bill. In subdivision E of Senate Rule 23, there's a distinction drawn to amendments to rewrite a bill. The first inquiry made is whether the amendment is germane to the previous version of the bill, but adds a new subject to the bill that's different from but related to the contents of the bill. Subdivision F of that Senate rule acknowledges new bills when an amendment creates a new bill if the amendment changes the subject of a bill to a new or different subject matter. Turning to Senate Rule 38.5, that rule requires every amendment proposed to a bill to be germane. In order to be germane, an amendment must relate to the same subject as the original bill, resolution, or other question that's under consideration. A point of order may be raised that the proposed amendment or an amendment now in the bill, a resolution, or other question under consideration by the body is not germane. In that case, Senate Rule 38.5 provides that the President pro tem of the Senate must decide whether the point of order is well taken. In the absence of the President pro tem, then the Vice Chair of the Senate Committee on Rules decides whether the point of order is well taken. If, in the opinion of the President pro tem or the Rules Committee Vice Chair, the point of order is well taken, then the question of germaneness is referred to the Senate Committee on Rules for a final determination. Thereafter, the Rules Committee must make its determination by the following legislative day. If the point of order is raised and referral is made on the last legislative day that precedes a joint recess, then the Committee on Rules must make its determination before adjourning for that or that joint recess. Finally, if upon consideration of the matter, the Senate Rules Committee determines that the amendment is not germane, then that bill, resolution, or other question is actually stricken from the daily file and may not be acted upon during the remainder of the session, provided that the author of a bill, resolution, or other question is required to be given the opportunity to amend his or her bill, resolution, or other question to delete the portions that were not germane. Now, if that occurs, then that bill, resolution, or other question may continue to be acted upon in the normal course of business. If the Committee on Rules determines that the amendment is germane, then the bill, resolution, or other question is acted upon by the House in due course. So ultimately, in either the Senate or the Assembly, a majority vote determines the final question whether amendments are germane to a bill, which is generally why the issue of germaneness is rarely raised anymore, because it takes a simple majority vote on the floor of either the Assembly or Senate to find a bill with new amendments to be germane, even though they may be an entirely different subject matter, as long as 41 members of the Assembly or 21 members of the Senate decide that those perhaps unrelated amendments to the original or previous bill are in fact germane, then that is the determination.